Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for being here today to show honor and give thanks to Natalie. At the beginning of the Torah, we read that God creates human beings by taking dust from the earth and breathing into that dust a nishmat chayim, a living soul. The Torah teaches us that all human beings are created of a physical body and a living soul. And at the end of our days, our soul and our body separate again. Our physical body returns to the dust that it was created from, and our soul returns to God. Today we have the opportunity to ensure that Natalie's body is returned properly to its final resting place, and at the same time honor her spirit and ensure that it reaches its appropriate spiritual home. I'll begin with a chapter of Psalms, Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar. A song of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Bino teshayar b'tseini, al mei menuchot yinaleini. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. Yad nafshi yishovev, yancheni v'maglei tzedek l'man shemo. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Gam ki elech begeitz amavetz lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha mishantecha hema yenachamuni. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you, God, are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorai deshant of Hashem en rashi kosi rivaya. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of my days. At this time, I'd like to call up Natalie's brother, Bill, to share some words with us. If he wants to, he can do it from there. Have him. You know what? I would do it right from there. Don't even worry about it. Do it right from there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Time for you to say what you want to say. You want to go up there?
Okay.
He wants to go up. Okay.
That's fine.
Take the walker with you. Nobody cares.
I am very proud to talk about my beloved sister Natalie. I want you to know that she was a tough old bird. Do you know what? She had to be. She had 2 children of preschool age, and her husband disappeared on her. She did what she had to do. She was a fighter. She had one undeniable goal. She wanted to be a CPA, Certified Public Accountant. And she went to school and she got it and she made it. Nothing could stop her. The great years that Natalie and Harold enjoyed was a successive event with new children, new grandchildren, and new great children. A bonus for Harold and Natalie. Remember this. Our God has always treated those that fight gracious in his eyes.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
As you know, Bill and Natalie had a very close and intimate and long relationship, and I know, Bill, just how much you deeply appreciated your sister's inner strength. At this time, I'd like to call up Natalie's grandchildren to share some words.
On behalf of the grandchildren, Grandma, you are always very patient with us. You spend all of your time with us. You would even take us to Costco with you. You always told us how proud you were in everything we did. You remembered all of us, you remembered all of our accomplishments and forgot our mistakes. You were always on our side. You always had time to talk, and you always made us feel special. You instilled the core values of Judaism in all of us. She was a person of principle and courage, and always stood firm for what she believed in. Every time we saw you, you made us feel like you were waiting for us all day to see us. Grandma loved Noah and Elliot and being a great grandma. You always made us feel like we were the center of the world. Grandma held her grandchildren and great-grandchildren in a special place in her heart. Grandma was one of the best things in our lives. There are so many things we remember, like the way she loved to crochet and loved to eat cream herring and go to Costco to get bulk chocolate-covered almonds for her grandchildren. We will never forget our endless trips to Chinagate, where Grandma and Papa ordered their sweet and sour chicken and sherbet dessert. How she never forgot a birthday card, and her warm, gentle smiles and her no thank you pieces, and all of those little things. Now we realize, in the end, what we remember the best are not really the big things, but all the teeny yet necessary bits of Grandma as a whole. We stand deeply saddened by the loss of one of the pillars in our family, but we also are thankful for the chance to have had her. After all, not too many people have had the privilege of knowing someone as remarkable as her. We keep in our minds and our hearts where her memory will live on for as long as we do. We love you, Grandma.
Natalie was born here in Cleveland, the oldest of three children, to Sarah and Sam Pinchuk. She grew up in a Jewishly active home. Her family was involved in a whole host of communal organizations. She grew up in Cleveland Heights. For college, she'd go off to Ohio University. But when her brother died in World War II, she would drop out of school in order to help her family. She would later go back to school as a single mother, finish her degree, and even pass the CPA exam, one of the only couple of women to do so at that time. Natalie's life was not easy, but Natalie was also in many ways ahead of her time. Decades before it became popular for women to lean in, Natalie was determined to provide for her family and succeed professionally. This required her to make sacrifices. It required constant hard work. But Natalie had an unbelievable ability to pursue what she thought was important, even if it meant walking a different path than others. Even if it meant being a single mother in the 50s, working a full-time job at a time when few women left the home. This inner strength is something that would mark her throughout her life. After getting her CPA, she met Harold, who would really become the love of her life. They would go on to build a beautiful home together, each one offering the other pieces of themselves that they couldn't find within them. They loved to do all sorts of activities together, but I'd be remiss, as the grandchildren mentioned, if I didn't share their shared love of bulk shopping. They had their checklists, and they loved going to buy food and other house supplies in bulk. And of course, if you ever needed anything extra of these kinds of things, they could always be found at her home. Natalie loved to use her business sense and follow the stock market. She had a stock club with a group of other women that she helped organize. They would do research on what might be the next hot stock tip, carefully investigating the latest IPO. She could also be one of the guys. At the end of the meal, she wouldn't be found in the kitchen cleaning up with the other women. Rather, she'd be at the table with the men, smoking a cigarette and talking business or politics along with them. Later in life, Natalie and Harold became involved with Sinai Synagogue through their special relationship with Rabbi Berkowitz. For them, it was an opportunity to connect even more deeply with Judaism and grow in their spiritual connection to God and the Jewish people. Harold's siblings and their spouses also joined as well, so it became a whole family endeavor. They loved Rabbi Berkowitz's warm spirit and the way he made Sinai Synagogue such an inviting place. Natalie would become a deeply valued member of the shul and even go on to serve as the synagogue's treasurer for a number of years. She was the best kind of synagogue volunteer. She was smart and thoughtful. She knew how to watch the books and was willing to do the time-consuming work necessary to ensure that the synagogue would flourish. But even more importantly, she was the kind of person people liked and respected. She never complained. She never said a mean word about anyone. She was kind and a very genuine person. I should also mention that one of Natalie's favorite aspects of Jewish life and her synagogue involvement was Shabbos. She loved going to shul on Shabbos morning. She loved bringing the Shabbos spirit into her home on Friday night with candles and Kiddush with her children and with her grandchildren. Those who knew Natalie on the outside may not have fully appreciated the incredible challenges that she overcame and the sacrifices that she made in her life. She had a great inner strength. I've said it before, but it's I think so important for us to recognize because it was so unique to be a single mother in the 50s, right? Becoming a CPA, providing for her family, really being the breadwinner in her family for pretty much most of her life. And that requires great inner strength. There's a chapter in the book of Proverbs that's recited by many Jewish families on Friday night. We'll recite it, in fact, tonight in just a few hours. This section is known as Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And make no mistake, Natalie was a woman of valor. The section in Proverbs describes in great detail the many attributes of a Jewish woman. First and foremost, a woman of valor is one who is committed to Judaism, as Natalie was throughout her life. But perhaps even more importantly, a woman of valor is the matriarch of the family. Her husband, her children, and her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren are the center of her life. And I want to just share you a couple of verses from Eshet Chayil, because as I was reading it, it just struck me so much how Natalie was able to embody these things. First, the chapter states, her husband's heartfelt trust is placed in his wife, and he shall lack for nothing. Right? Harold and Natalie said they had a real partnership. He trusted her. She was the breadwinner to a large extent. And he didn't lack for anything. She knew how to take care of things. She knew how to look out for him. She bestows good upon her husband and never harm all the days of her life. And again, I just know that both of them felt blessed to have been able to find each other when they did, and again, build that long and loving family and relationship together. The chapter describes that the woman of valor is like a merchant fleet, bringing her sustenance from afar. Right? A woman of valor doesn't just stay at home. Right? She's out there and making a living, and earning a parnassa to make sure her family has what she needs. Right? A merchant fleet has to travel great distances. Natalie had to be out at all hours of the day, potentially, to do the kind of work that was necessary to provide for her family. The chapter goes on to say she arises, the woman of valor, while it's still night, and gives provisions to her household and directions to her maidens, meaning when everybody else is sleeping, the woman of valor is up and looking after her family, right? Just, again, giving of her time, giving of herself, which Natalie constantly did. It says that with vigor she girds her loins and strengthens her arms. And as I said before, that inner strength, that vitality, that willingness to go the extra mile was such a significant part of who she was. It says that the Eshet Chayil fears no snow, for her household, for her entire household, is clothed with scarlet wool, meaning she looks ahead to determine what her loved ones are going to need. She provides it for them, and that's how she's able to create this sense of security and love within the home. And lastly, it also points out the Eishes Chayil's children arise and praise her, her husband also, and he lauds her. I know her daughters, they loved their mother so much, and they're so appreciative of all the ways in which she brought love to their lives. And I know that's not just true for her daughters, for her husband, again, her grandchildren and great-grandchildren as well. Natalie and her grandchildren were blessed to live in the same home together. She and Harold were upstairs, her daughter and grandchildren were down below. And as you know, she loved you all so much. She never forgot a birthday. She loved spending time with you. She was always happy to open her door and let you come up, whether it was to have an extra dinner or escape from your parents for a few hours. She made so many sacrifices for all of you, and in doing so, she also taught you the ultimate aspect of being an Eishes Chayil. As it also says, the Eishes Chayil's mouth is opened with wisdom, and the teachings of loving kindness are on her tongue. And that's how Natalie was. Through the way she acted, through her love, she taught you all so much. And she was a wise woman. You cannot be an accountant without being wise. I can tell you that. If my father's an accountant, it requires that sense of the little things that most people often overlook. As we say goodbye to Natalie today, I know that her daughters, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren are so grateful for the lessons that she taught them. Natalie showed them that life can knock you down, but that God gives each one of us the capacity to get back up again. It may not be easy. It may require strength, self-reliance, and most importantly, loved ones who remind us what we are fighting for. Natalie, you embodied these rare qualities and a love that your family will be forever thankful for, and you are a true Eishes Chayil, a true woman of valor. Tehei nishmatat tzura b'tzura chayim, may Natalie's soul forever be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. Yehei zichra baruch, and may her memory forever be a blessing. At this time, I'd like to ask that people rise as I will recite the Kemulei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. Kemulei Rachamim shochem b'mromim, hamitzei miuchan achon al kanfei hashechina. במלא קדושים מתוארים גזרקיה מזהירים את נשמת נטליה בת שמואל שלחה לעולמה בבור שאנחנו מתפללים בהזכרת נשמתה בגן העין תהיה מוחתה לכם ברחמים יסתירה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני נחלתה ותנוח בשלום משכבה ונאמר אמן. God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence in the loftiest levels of the holy and pure, which shine as the brightness of the firmament, to the soul of Natalie, who has gone to her world and for whose memory we pray. May her rest be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings and bind her soul in the bonds of life. May the Lord be her heritage. May her resting place forever be in peace. And let us say Amen. At this time, I'm going to ask that the pallbearers come forward, and the people should remain standing as